Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. I am actually still here in Newport Beach area on spring break with the family. And it's a fun morning at the beach because I like to go running on the beach. Went running with Ethan, and then we jumped in the ocean just really quick. And the ocean is actually really, really cold right now. It feels like it's 58, 59 degrees, right around 60. So anyways, it's been a good morning. So I am super excited about my guest this morning. She's actually my aunt, but she's pretty darn close to my age. So don't, when I call her my aunt, don't act like she's all old or think she's all old, okay? So anyways, Angie, are you there?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Angie is married to my dad's youngest brother, and my dad is the oldest of 9 kids, and Angie's husband, Tom, is the youngest of 9 kids. So that's why how we are able to be closer to the same age. So I was on this kick last week, and we're going to go on it a little bit more today called, after this book called The Miracle Morning. And so Angie actually is the one that I believe, I don't know, I think you might have introduced me to the book that one time at the lake, and that's when I got it and read it, Angie. I think I heard about it but didn't really dive into it. And so at the end of last school year, she was talking about it I took her and her kids and family to the lake, and she was talking about The Miracle Morning. That's when I actually bought it and dug into it. I think I actually read it on just speed read, Cliff Notes type thing. So talk to me just briefly, or not, just about the book, The Miracle Morning, and what it's kind of meant to you, Angie, in your life as far as your morning rituals go.
Yeah, I started probably about maybe 6 years ago when I started working. I was a stay-home mom, and then I started working for our property management company, and I was having a really hard time balancing being a stay-home mom and working from home, and I was really struggling with the balance there. And then I'm always looking for a good self-help book. So I found The Miracle Morning, and I started reading it, and I was like, basically it's just you get up an hour earlier than you normally do. And I was getting up at 5, and I was like, I wasn't really a morning person at all. In fact, my favorite thing to do is sleep in. So when I thought about getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, it made me kind of just yuck. I couldn't even imagine getting up at 4, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a month, because it's in the book. It says you're going to hate it. Give it a month, and so I did. I started getting up at 4, and it was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I hated it at first. I was like, this is horrible. So basically, he calls it the Savers, and it's silence, meditation, prayer, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And he says to do about 10 minutes of each of those. But I was really, really strict with 10 minutes every time, with each thing, and at first. Except
right.
I did my exercise at the end because I like to exercise longer than 10 minutes. So
yes. But
as I've gone through the years with doing it, I've kind of made it my own thing. I do it differently a little bit than I used to. But at first it kind of saved me. It got me to where I had time for myself, and it kind of just balanced me out, where I felt like I could have my work life and my home life melt together and give me balance.
That's good. I like that. I like the balance thing, and we haven't really talked about that much on this morning meeting that we do every day. It's interesting because people feel like they're just always rushed to get things done, like always just go, and if you can somehow reset that every single morning by just waking up an hour earlier and getting personal things done, you just don't feel so rushed going into your morning, and it kind of just sets your morning as far as that balance goes. And all the working mothers know out there, and even just mothers that aren't working, that just to accomplish everything that they have to in a day. I mean, moms are the first ones that wake up in the morning, and moms are the last ones to go to sleep at night. And there's just never enough time. And so I can't really speak to the balance that moms do, because they just do so much. And you're definitely one of those moms that I look up to, Angie, that gets a lot done and does a lot of amazing things. So props to you having that balance and making that happen.
Well, it gives you the balance because you have an hour to yourself, and really you don't have an hour to yourself if you don't. And I've tried doing it later, like waking up later and seeing if that works. But then if any of my family is up at all, it doesn't work. It's like you said, like being a mom. I mean, I don't have 7 teenagers in my house right now, but I have 5 teenagers in my house and 2 on a mission. So, like, if there's one member of my family up, the miracle morning doesn't work for me. And it's kind of morphed into, I kind of call it my mornings with Heavenly Father, because I used to just get up, say my prayers, and get on with my day. You know,
yeah.
It's almost like a checklist thing, you know?
Right.
So part of my silence meditation and prayer is I say my prayers, and then I just sit and listen for 10 minutes. And I've never done that before I started this. And I've had so much inspiration comes to me during those times, and just a whole different relationship with my Heavenly Father, which I've never had experienced before I started doing this. So it's really changed my life that way too.
That's really cool. I mean, building that relationship with God, I think, is definitely key with what we do, because honestly, we can't do it alone, and with God's help, we can. And that's just part of the balance in life is having God help us out. And one really, really cool thing is we can tap into that, and we can use that. And that's just part of life. And if we're not really asking for God's help, then we're missing a big part of it. So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. Because the balance is a partnership with God for sure. That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. You are the 3rd person I've met this week that's part of the 4 a.m. club. And before, within this last week, I didn't even think that was possible or know that was even around. I always considered myself waking up early, but 4 a.m. is just next level. I don't know if I can do that.
It took a lot of time for me to get used to it. I hated it, literally hated it at first. And then once I started doing it, it actually gives me more energy. When I don't do it, I'm not very good at it on the weekends.
Yeah.
But because I do sleep in on the weekends a little bit, and then, like I said, it doesn't really work if any part of my family's up, because you just get going with your doing stuff, you know.
Right.
But I have less energy. I don't get as much done, and you just don't feel as accomplished either. Yeah,
you don't. Yeah, you're right. Well, that's really, really cool. I'm going to switch gears and impromptu ask you about something that we're putting focus towards this week, and it's a topic that I can do better at, and it's called complimenting others or giving others praise. So I've spent a lot of time studying this topic of complimenting others in the last 48 hours. As far as is there a person in your life that you feel like, whether it's a family or friend, that is good at complimenting others, that you're around, that just has that good energy, that seems like when you're around them, they always compliment you, or they're complimenting others?
I know I do.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of it.
No, that's fine. If you don't think of one, don't worry about it. Put it in the back of your mind. as far as like the power of complimenting others, you know, I'm just thinking, you know, as far as, you know, I went into this. I spoke yesterday like for 15 minutes on it. When you receive a compliment, Angie, how does it make you feel?
You know what's funny is I've actually been working on that for a little bit. I focused on it a few years ago because it would get me so embarrassed and I didn't know what to say. It's hard to receive a compliment as well. I think it's more hard to receive a compliment than to give a compliment. And I heard a podcast about this very thing, and I was like, you know what? I am so bad at receiving compliments. I used to always reciprocate something like, oh, you look super good too, or I like this, you know, or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And just a really shallow compliment, you know.
Right.
But instead, I just started saying, thank you so much. And then later, really giving a sincere compliment. Because it's funny, I myself get bothered when somebody gives me a really shallow compliment, you know, like just like, oh, you look so good. And I have my hair up in a top knot and my workout clothes on, you know, I'm like, yeah, I'm sweating now.
Oh, that's funny.
But I do, me and Tom both have talked about giving better compliments. Like when you think about it, say it out loud. And you know, I think about things all the time, like, oh, that girl has the most beautiful eyes, and I'll just think it to myself. But we've been trying to say it more. If we think it, then say it to them. And it's crazy how much it makes somebody's day. You know, you see their eyes light up and a smile on their face, and you're like, oh. And it's such an easy, free thing to do for somebody.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad you actually brought up those 2 points, because in all the time I've studied in the last 48 hours, nothing said that it's harder to receive a compliment than to give. They did say that compliments are based on self-esteem, and if you can't receive a compliment very well, you've got a low self-esteem, and you've got to make that better.
Yeah.
But one thing I love, and I've been trying to live by, and I do my best to live by, is if you think it, say it. I think that's great. So we went in to talk yesterday, and it only takes 2 seconds to say a 4-letter compliment, and most compliments are only 4 letters. It only takes 2 seconds, and we have 86,400 seconds in a day. And also, one compliment has the effects to change someone's day for 24 hours as far as how they feel. So that's pretty amazing. But I've taken enough of your time and everyone else's time. I'm going to get back to auctions and to work. Angie, thank you so much for spending time with me this morning. I love you and everything you are and who you are. I just look up to you. You guys, Angie is the best. She is an absolutely amazing mother and wife, and just accomplishes so much. And so it's honestly my honor just to talk with you for a few minutes this morning and over these concepts. Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you, Spence. I appreciate it. I love you.
Love you too. You guys have a great day.